Well, good evening. Um, the Who's today were on at Randwick at headquarters. Um, Look, I'll say a quick few words about what at Rose Hill last Saturday. I didn't attend that meeting. Uh, we were out for the count there at one stage. Um, the ref, he said 9. I said, oh Jesus Christ, in a bit of throttle. No, up, we got up. Um, so just was not saved by the bell, but got up, and of course got another right hook and a right cross and a left hook again, but went straight down again. Out for 9, got up anyway. At Rose Hill last Saturday, the track there was good. There was a bit of a breeze coming out of the more or less the east, and it wasn't that strong. There was a runner, or it led all the way. I think the only leader to lead and win was Kinsella, who was ridden by the pumper. Well, of course, the way that race was run, he didn't have an outside alley like he did last start. He drew an inside alley, but he had control perfectly rated in front. It did lead all the way, but he was off the fence coming to the turn, saying to Knight Exemplar, you can come up on my inside. It was the only leader to win, and of course in the second race, the 2-year-old Open race, the winner, Unequivocal, it sat directly behind the leader, Alpine Gold, got inside that runner up the straight, Delectation, and the second pick, Peggy Jean, had good runs off the fence, and it was a bit too strong for them up the inside, so its run wasn't bad. But I think close to the fence was a little bit inferior at Rose Hill. The rail was in the normal position that day, and I think the inside was a little bit inferior, as I say. So when you're doing your form, you could make a little bit of an allowance for that. And then during the week, we had a meeting at Wyong. I was first of all Canterbury on Wednesday, where the rail was 6 metres out. The track was good, and it was. Look, I've seen it worse. Seen it a lot worse at Canterbury, where it's been diabolical leaders on the fence, but it was a big advantage to be on the fence and saving ground on the fence at Canterbury on Wednesday, as no doubt everybody saw. So again, when assessing your form from that meeting, you'll have to make allowances for horses who were on the fence. And at Wyong on Thursday, the track there was good. The rail was in the normal position, and we had a good steady southeasterly breeze or easterly breeze blowing off and on all day, which didn't have any effect on any of the results. And there was no bias on the track. The track played very fair at Wyong. You could lead, save ground on the fence. There was no cutaway, or you could come from behind down the outside, and as the last winner did, came from second last, but it was a fast run race, wide on the turn, came down the outside, and plenty of winners saved ground on the fence. So when doing the form for Wyong, I think you could make no allowances for any track bias there. Take each horse's run on its merits and whatever happened in the run. Now we came to Randwick today, where the track was a good 3. The rail was 3 metres out, and the first race we had a good a real northerly sort of blowing for the first race, and it was fairly strong, and just quickly going through the wind. The same for the second race, and the third race, all of a sudden, I was scratching my head when who I thought had a very good chance in this race, Order of the Sun, led on the fence. They didn't run along real fast, but the wind, I went straight out and had a look at the wind situation straight after this race, and there was a lapse in the wind. The flag that I was looking at, it was fairly limp. So there was a good chance during that race, the wind, for some reason, for a few minutes, had eased from, say, 30 down to not even about a 10-kilometre wind. And then it picked up again in race 4. Race 5, very similarly, and these two wins, of course, were won by Gay's horses, and Almighty Charge. The wind again wasn't as strong as it was in race 4, and in race 5, still getting nowhere as weak as it was in race 3, but it was say only about a 20-kilometre-hour wind in race 5, and but this winner, Almighty Charge, it did get a very easy time up in front with its stablemate, which was by far the best back runner, Our Desert Warrior, sitting up on its outside. And well, he wasn't going to drive him mad and make him go 100 miles an hour. And Almighty Charge, even though it did run into the wind, it's very genuine, stretches its neck out, and it's a clean galloper. It got an easy time in the lead, even though running into the wind was able to win. And then, of course, we saw appearance in the expressway where the wind had picked up again, come down the outside. Similar in race 7, where we saw Red Excitement dead heat with Gay's leader, Kinnersley, who used a good bit of petrol getting to the lead and staying on the fence, and the wind was about similar to race 5, at about 20 odd plus. And in the last race, we saw the winner and well-back Recoinage go straight to the lead. Again, the wind had eased a bit, only about 20 kilometres an hour, and it was able to get a not as soft a time, I don't think, I haven't checked the sectionals yet, as Almighty Charge, but a fairly easy time in front, and it was able to hang on and win. Even though I'm going to make allowances, even though some races where the wind wasn't as strong as other races, still going to make allowances during the day when I reprice them on how the wind was affecting them, and of course what runs they had. Now, in this first race, I haven't done any best luck prices here today. The figures weren't that hot all day, and there wasn't a great deal of section there, but it wasn't a bad little meeting. And in this first race, we saw the favourite Law get a good run. There's only 4 runners in this race. It led on the fence. First starter, Host Wind Pegasus. On its outside was the second pick, Clamour, and the favourite pulled a bit in the run, but just settled after missing the kick slightly, settled straight in behind them. The 2 leaders and the outsider of the field, Next Level, was always back in a rearward position. And when they turned for home, came up the rise, well, it was quite evident that the favourite Law was going to win. It was just ambled up, Nash sitting very quietly, got past the 2 leaders fairly easily, and went on for an easy win. Race, the leader did run into the wind and stuck on. The second pick couldn't get past it, so each run was a little bit better than it looked. Race 2, well, here they said that they were going to ride Pentometer Closer, and it settled down in last position, which was most probably a blessing in disguise for this horse. It couldn't, the rider of the favourite rule book said he didn't have enough pace. He thought he would be able to lead this race, but didn't have enough pace to lead. Once it didn't lead rule book and was able to dictate, especially one of the gays, well, it was always going to be difficult for it to win. And it was a bit hard to lay. Bookies did give, it opened up 240, got out to $2.60, taken into 250, but it was 270 at the finish. It was well backed. Celtic Prince, 350 out to 370, back into 320. And the winner, which was a big result for the captains, although they did take the $7.50 about it, starting $7. So I suppose if you go $7.50, it could have taken a lot of cream off the top. And as I say, it might have been a blessing in disguise. Instead of being up near the lead, it settled down in last position and came widest in the straight. It led on the fence Boogie Shoes, who ran into the wind and stayed close to the fence. They said it was galloped on, and it dropped out fairly quickly, turning for home, and up the straight. It got beaten 9.5 lengths. But the winner outsprinted them, Pentometer. It was on the fence, the second pick, Celtic Prince, going very easy, coming to the turn, looking for split. When they fanned on the turn, got the split, but the winner was able to outsprint it easily, beating it by 2.3 lengths. And it ran third. Some course from plugged on all right after being held up slightly in rule book. Well, it was very one-paced up the straight, and it finished. It could only run fourth, having more or less every chance, but as I say, didn't lead. In race 3, well, this is where Order of the Sun was able to jump straight to the front, have a fairly easy time, but as I say, this was where the wind all day was at its at least strength. It was very light and also not out of the northeast. It was more or less out of the east for some reason. It just changed around. $8. Well, I think I might have even seen $9 about this runner given, which you wouldn't see. Order of the Sun, and only started. It might have been able to get $7.50 when they jumped. I think it was a 13-2 chance when they jumped. It led the favourite, who they said they were going to ride closer. They did on Agadir. It sat outside the lead. They said they were also going to ride Hot Albert closer, and they did. It sat directly behind the leader on the fence. Unfortunately, at the 500-metre mark, it suffered a very bad bleeding attack and was eased out of the race, causing very little interference. The favourite here, Agadir, it was jogging outside Order of the Sun, coming up the rise. Christian Reith sitting very, very quietly on it, and for a good few strides, if you're a bookie who had laid it, or a punter who were on it, if you're a bookie, you were feeling god-darn sick. As it turned out, the Satchel saved the day. Or if you're a punter, you were saying, "Come on, son, let's go now." But when he did say, "Come on, Agadir, let's go," there wasn't much there, and the Order of the Sun finished up beating it by a half a length. Number 5, Crowning, who we bet $5.50, started $5, opened up $4.60. Started 5, as I say, missed the kick slightly, but got into a good position midfield off the fence in a 3-wide line on the back of a 101 chance My Dream, and it pulled out, turning for home, making a quick run, giving her supporters, I suppose, some hope because it was starting to come, but its run was short-lived. And a roughie here called Mr. 111, a $71 bet starting $51. It did miss the kick, and again saying maybe how the outside was a bit better. It came from second last right down the outside, making up a lot of ground, the widest runner in the straight to be beaten 1.5 lengths. Its run wasn't a bad run for a 50-1 chance. As I say, Hot Albert led, the winner led, favourite set on the south side. It got trapped 3 wide in the run, Double Eagle, and dropped out, and outside the leaders. That was about the race. Race 4, well, here we saw the very well-backed Target in sight absolutely trot in. It won by 2.5 lengths, and they didn't forget to back it. It opened up a $5 chance and got out to plenty, or $6 given on the fence, which you wouldn't see. Quite a few boards, $5.50. After $6 was given, it was sensationally backed at one stage into $4.20, a 13-4 chance, but got it back out to maybe hard to get $4.40 towards the end of betting. It settled back in 4th last position, wide with cover, and when they turned for home, they did, I suppose, didn't run along that hard. And they raced in groups of 3, sort of thing. Leading on the fence was Charge Account, who they said was going to be ridden closer today, and they did from barrier 1. It had to run into the wind, but it pulled up with a respiratory complaint, and it has to trial before it starts again. And apparently is going to be scoped to see if this horse has a problem. It obviously has, which has been documented, of course. It led with Party Dress on its outside, who didn't get the good run, as I pointed out, that it did last start. And 3 wide outside that pair was Fireball. And then you had runners on the 3 wide cover and runners back along the fence and in between. And as I say, coming from 4th last, just running up to them so easily towards the top of the rise. And then McDonald, aboard the winner, he gave them a cold after they topped the rise and went away, as I say, and won by 2.5 lengths. It was a very strong win. Mr. Jackman, the winner came off Mr. Jackman's back. Mr. Jackman was in about 6th position in the 3 wide cover, but he gave Mr. Jackman a cold, and it was up to Canny Ballard coming from 2nd last position down the outside to beat Mr. Jackman for the 2nd placing. Maybe the wind affected the horses, or the leader is not much good and has a problem. So both of those reasons for the horses who are on the inside not doing that well. Race 5, again, this was a race where Almighty Charge was able to run into the wind, not real strong like it was earlier in the day, and it got a nice easy time once it got there. The stablemate, Our Desert Warrior, sitting on its outside and trapped 3 wide outside the pair, coming from about 5th or 6th position early to be 3 wide outside the leaders on the turn, was the 3rd favourite, and that was Reflectance, but it was more or less wide all the way. It got onto its back, Chord Connection, coming towards the turn, but it was a 300-1 chance. But the easy run that it had in the lead, Almighty Charge, when they topped the rise, as I said before, it's a very genuine runner, and it was nice and fit. The stablemate, Our Desert Warrior, who sat on its outside, was resuming from a spell today, and he was able to shake it off, and then it was up to My Destiny, who came from 3rd last down the outside to grab 2nd position, and coming from inside it and then down the outside, also making up plenty of ground off a fairly slow pace, was Territory. The margins were 0.8. The winner won by 1.1, just about a neck away to the third horse. Reflectance held on for fourth position after being wide, and the favourite ran fifth, beaten 1.6 lengths. They beat the others easy, but they were all fairly long odds. That's about all I'd say there. The sixth race, this was won by appearance. It sat back in fourth last position, ridden by Bold Blake Shin. He was always off the fence. He was on the outside of the favourite Bobbin, back in about fourth last position. And when they topped the rise, he accelerated very quickly, appearance, and this race was over fairly quickly, because when he did sprint, he got past these leaders, especially Rain Affair, who led very quickly. It stopped when it stopped, as Rain Affair can do. It stops, and it sprinted very well, appearance, and it won by 1.3 lengths. It beat the horse that chased the leader, River Lad, a 50-1 chance by 1.3 lengths. River Lad, who raced a little bit apparently ungenerously in the run, stuck on very well, and coming from midfield was Sizzling, stablemate to the favourite, and it ran third, beaten 2.6 lengths, and there were about 6 runners that went across the line in that third position, and there was only about a half a length between them, and one of them was the favourite. Obviously, well, Bobbin drew barrier 1, which I thought was completely against it, even though the wind wasn't really, it was in the northeasterly direction, but it wasn't real strong. But last time this horse resumed, of course, at Rose Hill when it won, we know what it's done in Melbourne and how it won the our Group 1 race here. They were very, very good wins. But when it did resume last start at Rose Hill, of course, D&G led that day. That day at Rose Hill, leading on the fence, or saving ground on the fence at Rose Hill that day, was a huge advantage. And from memory, D&G led that day, something on its outside, and Bobbin got a cosy run from barrier 1. I think it had that day, sucking up, and as I say, not leading the fence, which is a big advantage. And D&G has got a bit of toe, and it's not that strong. And the other runners in that race were fairly poor performers, I thought, and Bobbin got the favours. And it was resuming today, and it was a much tougher race. It's the Expressway Stakes, and there was always going to be pace on, especially with Rain Affair where it was drawn. And Bobbin had barrier 1. Well, I didn't think there was any way in the world it would cosy up behind him like it did that day. And it did settle back in well back. Nash eased off heels, turning for home. He did say that the horse didn't find the line very well, as good as he would have thought it did. And it was more or less, even though it was held up for a little bit, was never really going to win. Rain Affair, who, as we saw, lead on the fence, it ran into the wind. It did stop very, very quickly, and it ran last, beaten 8.2 lengths. The winner has always had ability, and it will obviously be improved from today's run. So will a lot of the other runners. And I suppose now Joe Pride will be scratching his head what to do with Rain Affair. He needs to find a wet track for it to help its chances. Race 7, well here, of course, with this white line business that they put in towards the finish, and those imaginary lines they have across the track when you're watching these races on the television, they had it in the wrong position when the horses hit the line. Watching it live, myself, I must admit, well, I was right. I wasn't wrong, and a lot of other good judges. We all conferred before the number went up. Who do you think's won it? I thought the outside horse, Red Excitement, might have, just bobbed. Well, it did bob, and it was turned out to be a dead heat. As I say, if you were looking at the where they put the white line on the running rail, there's a section which is a different colour to the other parts of the rails. It's about, I suppose, it might be a couple of yards long or whatever it is. And right in the middle of that section, that coloured section on the rail, there's a black line. That's where it goes back to the mirror, and of course then to the other mirror on the other side of the track. And they put the white line maybe two odd feet or 3 feet before the the actual finishing line, and that gave the optical illusion that the inside horse Kinnersley had won by, say, a head. But as it turned out, it was a dead heat, and I suppose it was a good win. It was a good run, Kinnersley, because there was a bit of use made of it to get to the lead. It did run into the wind and stayed close to the fence all the way and stuck on. The dead heat, Red Excitement. I think if he would have taken off before he did, he would have. We'll get to the horse that should have won the race. I mean, that's the third horse, Monton. But if he would have taken off before he did, he would have got his momentum up, and he got slightly held up, easing off heels after straightening. And we all saw Monton, who was inside Red Excitement. I didn't think Monton would be that far back today. And Monton, the rider said he thought after they just topped the rise there was something amiss with the horse, and he wasn't that keen on pushing it out. But then I suppose the next couple of strides he said, oh, well, wait, there you are all right. He was held up and copped a check, and he lost all of his momentum where the dead heater down the outside and the winner naturally had their momentum up. And Monton got going again in between runners, and the margins were a dead heat by 0.2 of a length. You've only got to watch the replay to see that Monton should have just about won the race, most probably the unluckiest runner on the day. Then we get to race 8, and here again we saw a leader win, Recoinage. Again, the wind wasn't as strong as it was in some races, but it did lead, got a fairly easy time up in front. The runner that sat on the south side, Lady Crowner, it finished up running last, beaten 10 lengths. It sat on the south side, and getting trapped wide in the run was Breakfast in Bed, and the winner was able to fight on very strongly, coming from about 9th position with a wide trail. Was Pillow Talk, making up plenty of ground in the straight, which was a bit of an advantage where it was, and it was only beaten a length, but it made up plenty of ground. The Bugaboo, who sat in 6th position with a 3 wide cover behind sitting on the back of Breakfast in Bed, it ran its fairly honest usual race, and the runner that was trapped 3 wide all the way, Breakfast in Bed, finished up running 4th. Was only beaten 1.9 lengths running that position. The very well backed, the best backed runner in this race was by far the winner, Recoinage. As much as $7 was given on the fence. $6.50 was the best luck. If you had up $5 at the finish, 4-1, it was the favourite. They'd kill you for it. They took my $5. It started $4.80 hard to get, and they did say they were going to ride it a bit closer today. They did a bit better than riding it a bit closer. They led on it, as we all know now, and it did fight on very well. The fluctuations in the last race, I might as well give you one race. The flux in this last race, Caprosa, well, it was $13 out to 17, back into 15. Pretty Famous went from 13 out to 18, back into 17. Bugaboo was $11 out to $13, into $11, back to 12. Breakfast in Bed didn't have a price. It was $6 out to $9. Christy Lee, mightn't see it, but it opened up $5. I was $6.50 for a good part of the last part of the betting, and I didn't wind it off, and I couldn't make it a loser. I think it'll only be returned 6. Unimpeachable went from $5 out to $6.50, back into $6, hard to get. 40 into 30 was Lady Crovenar. Recoinage, as I say, went up a 5 to 1 chance, $6, got out to as much as 7 on the fence, started $4.80. The next runner, Pillow Talk, $6 out to $8 given on the fence, only started 6. Helvetica, $17 out to 21, back into 15. The next runner, Shania, who pulled up coughing, it was 15 out to 18, back into 17. And Kashmir, who missed the kick by 10 lengths, they checked whether it was denied a full start. It just came out hopelessly. Missed the jump by 10 lengths. It was 60 out to 100. So that was the betting in the last race. We put it up the 4 to 1 favourite, Unimpeachable, but as I say, got out to $6.50, taken back into 6, and we put the winner up, equal second pick at $6, got out to $7, 6 to 1 chance, but started the favourite at $4.80. So the punters in the last race were right on the ball. So that was about the meeting. If you were wire netting, I hope you had some luck. And of course, we've got a meeting on tomorrow at Gosford. You hear all these stories all the time about not being able to get on. In all seriousness, if you are, it's no good saying one thing and meaning another. What do I say? You're a steam tug if you're a big punter and you're able to get on with the corporates, because we hear the stories all the time, especially with the TAB, of course, and the corporates, that if you look like becoming a winning punter, your account is quickly closed, and you can't, people are running businesses. You can't blame someone trying to run a business and make and of course make a profit with expenses as high as they are these days to let winning punters on. But I can't understand it. If you are a big punter and you can't get on, well, first of all, if you are a big punter and you can get on, and look, I'm only talking about someone who, your small spec, maybe 5,000 or even 10,000. I'd love to talk to you. If you're one of these people if you're one of the ones who, please don't drive me mad by anyone giving me a ring saying, oh yes, look, can I get your tips? I pay these people who are paying pennies for tips and whatever. I don't. I get those calls. They drive me mad. People wanting to get my prices and selections and things. If you are a big punter and you can get on, I know someone who would dearly like to speak to you. Unfortunately, without being whatever the word is, you'll most probably get barred very quickly. But at least this person and myself will be able to turn you into winning punter. But only if you are a very big punter, and you don't have to be a $1 million punter or a $100,000 punter, but $5,000 plus. 5,000's got to be your smallest bet, or 10,000. And if you can get on for those amounts with corporates or someone, I know someone who would love to talk to you. And if you are finding it hard to get on, gee whiz, at the races, like even there today at Randwick and any Saturday, you can come out to the races, and you can with us bookies out at the races, you can back a horse to win a lot of money. There are plenty of bookies out the races. Don't you worry about that. Who will accommodate you for a lot more than I think you'll be able to get on anywhere else with the corporates and so forth. So, why don't you, more punters who we don't see at the coming to the track, start coming to the track or and and betting with the bookies. It's a great day out. You can see the horses with your own eyes. You don't have to be listening to the stupid egg flips that people are giving you all the time. All they're doing, giving you the tips, they're only going off. They give them to you with 5 minutes to go and all this rubbish. You try ask them to give you the tips at 9 o'clock in the morning, like we can. Of course, all they do is they're seeing after speaking to certain people at track and also following the betting, of course, saying, oh, I like this, I like that, I don't like this one, and one. It's all a lot of crap, isn't it? So anyway, if you are a big punter, you should be going to the track because you can get on for plenty. And if you are a big punter, you can get on with the corporates. My telephone number is on my website. You can give me a ring, and I would love to talk to you. Good evening.